is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Bang the table aggressively, somewhat.
Don't break it, but we know you're stronger than Nick. So.
Live from New York, it's the show that's only an hour today and has Coach Mangini in for Nick. It's First Things First. Today, an NFL executive agrees with Brew. What are the Cowboys doing this offseason? Professor Broussard gives another grade in about 7 minutes. Meanwhile, the one, quote, ugly suggestion that Cam Newton has for Lamar, what does it mean and will it work? And finally, well, oh my goodness, Dusty, bring out the bulletin board. Joe Burrow says the Bengals are built to beat the Chiefs. Wow. Okay. Alongside Coach Mangini, I'm Kevin Wildes. Brew, are you going to ride with Cincinnati this year?
Well, I'm from there.
Well,
I could.
Several places.
Late in the season, if they're looking good, I might hop on that bandwagon.
Okay, well,
we'll see.
Right
now,
okay.
not right now.
Okay. We start with a Tom Brady Super Bowl prediction. Now, this is a very specific prediction, courtesy of the Deep Cut podcast with Vic Blends. Which ringless quarterback will get a Super Bowl ring first? Brady's answer? This guy, Josh Allen. Take a listen.
Next quarterback to win a Super Bowl that hasn't won yet.
I like Josh Allen a lot. I think he's, I'd pick Josh.
Josh?
Yeah. I like Josh a lot as a guy, as a leader. But, you know, he's got to get past the Chiefs, and that's hard because Patrick's incredible in the way he leads that team.
Yeah.
Okay. Brew, are you surprised Brady went with Josh?
Well, first of all, I think it's clear, at least to me, he went with Josh because he likes Josh. Are they buddies? I mean, he even said, I like him as a guy. Like, a lot of this was, that's my guy. I'm hoping he does it. And I will say this, Coach, if they're that close, and Josh doesn't always listen to Tom, right? That we've seen that on their interviews. Josh should be picking his brain about 12 personnel. Right, that was huge for New England with Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. And they got two talented tight ends in Buffalo. Obviously, your receiving core is in flux, at least right now. They should be running that a lot, and I think you should be picking Brady's brain on that. But I am, from a football perspective, Coach, I'm very surprised because obviously the offseason that the Bills have had, I think this is, at least to date, we'll see what they do in the draft and other moves. But to date, this is, I think, the worst team they've gone into the season with in the last 3 or 4 years. All right, you lost your 2 best receivers. You lost 5 of your 8 captains. Defensively, you lost some, critical pieces. I think they'll be good defensively because McDermott is good on that side of the ball. And last year, despite a lot of injuries, they were good defensively. But still, I mean, saying that, unless you are saying Mahomes is going to win it this year and then next year maybe Josh can come back, I would put these quarterbacks ahead of Allen as far as winning their first Super Bowl before him right now. Lamar, Burrow, C.J. Stroud. I'm not saying he's going to win it this year, but right now I'd put him ahead of Allen because of the team. And then on the NFC side, just because of the team is great, Purdy.
Correct.
Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and maybe Hurts. I'm just saying ahead of Josh Allen right now because of the team. So
tough one for Dak.
Yeah.
Tough list for Dak.
Yeah, Dak. I got another list Dak will be on, but not this one. But yeah, Coach. So football, from a football sense, I'm very surprised.
It's funny you said Tom, whether or not Tom likes Josh, because that's the first thing I looked up. Does Tom Brady golf with Josh?
Yes.
And he does, and they're buddies, and that's exactly what this felt like. It's like, okay, I'm going to go with my buddy, and when you look at it, Josh has to get over the 18 interceptions. That's a problem. They get rid of Diggs, and whenever you get rid of a player and you're going to pay him $3 million more on the cap than you would if you had him, obviously that's a problem. So now the chemistry gets better in the building, but you can't replace that talent that he brought on Sunday. Then he loses 4 out of his 5 receivers. So from a force multiplier perspective, this is the big test for him, whether or not he can elevate the offense, losing his best weapon, losing all that continuity, and it's a big if. And from a salary cap perspective, this is a cleanup year. They're 29th in salary cap. this is not the year that you would predict them to go win the Super Bowl. Now, that being said, they're in a division that's going to give them a chance to get to the playoffs because there's so much flux. They've won it, 4 years in a row. Last year, they won 5 games in a row, won the division, won a playoff game. So there is some resilience in the organization. Stephon Diggs wasn't that big a part of that end of the season run for him, but this did definitely feel like, hey, I'm going to throw my buddy a nod here.
Let me show you a graphic of, because obviously Brady was talking first-person perspective. So the idea that Mahomes is the new Brady in terms of dominating. Brady is 12-2 in the playoffs. Mahomes 5-3. 3 Super Bowl appearances for Brady, 4 for Patrick Mahomes. His rival Peyton was 2 for 4. Didn't go to the Super Bowl till year 9. Josh Allen 5-5. So do you think Coach Mahomes, and Brady kind of alluded to it, is the biggest obstacle in his way, or is there some other thing that's preventing Josh from getting over the hump?
Yeah, Mahomes is the biggest obstacle in the whole NFL's way of winning a Super Bowl, and you know that's an issue that everybody's got to figure out and overcome. And teams are they're gonna structure their team to be able to beat them, especially if you're in the AFC. But the Bills have had a lot of problems in the last few years, and especially last year. There was always some kind of there was something brewing underneath that they had to deal with, and they made that push financially to get over the hump, and they didn't. And now you've got to pay those bills, and it's going to be a little bit of time, I think, before they're really competing at the highest level.
And I think, you know, I'm big on intangibles at quarterback, and Josh has to show that he has those. We know there were issues with his best receiver, so is that somewhat on Josh? I put it more on Diggs, but still
a little bit.
Some of it's on the quarterback, right? You got to be able to control that and work it out
a little bit.
So a little
on Josh.
I don't think it's just Josh. I think that it's the head coach too and the administration.
Okay,
when you make that decision,
I just mean even being able to control, like again,
you would like your quarterback to be able to handle difficult guys in a locker room, especially if they're as talented as Stephon Diggs is, and figure out a way to make them work so that you can at least get them to Sunday.
Okay. Let's head to Dallas, where one NFL executive told Jordan Reed that they didn't totally get how Dallas is building their roster this offseason. I don't really understand the plan there so far this offseason, but there's a lot weighing on this draft, and they seem to be confident about finding a bunch of starters. Now, they have had some success in the draft before, obviously, with CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. But, Brew, can you put a grade on the Cowboys offseason?
Well, first of all, I'm glad this executive watches the show because I've been saying this, all right? So, grade, I look through everything. I'm thorough with my grades. Let's see, Coach. First of all, they tell us they're all in. We're 10 toes down, and they knew we thought that meant all in for a Super Bowl. It may have meant all in to just tear this thing down eventually. We were tired of paying all this money and no results as far as Super Bowl wins. Maybe that's what they meant. But after that, they lose several key starters. 2 of your best offensive linemen. All right, your defensive coordinator, one of your best defensive pass rushers in Dorrance Armstrong, your best running back in Tony Pollard. All right, so that's an issue. Then your wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is talking about holding out. Now there are leaks. These are leaks that you don't like your best player. All right, Micah Parsons, and now you're not going to pay Dak. Then there's another leak. Oh, we might just look for another quarterback. All right, so I just think, Coach, the way they're handling this entire offseason, you got worse on paper on the roster. Whatever chemistry you had, whatever good vibes you had, at least for now, those are in question. Mm-hmm. And you're a worse team than you were when the season ended. So I'm fair.
He's fair.
So when I get my grade, it's falling, which is appropriate because it's an F. What else can I give them, Wiles?
I mean, a D-.
No, they have fallen way behind the Eagles. All right,
way behind?
The Eagles got Saquon Barkley. I know you think that funk, Coach. I think the Eagles' funk was just, I don't know what the heck was going on.
Vic
but I think it'll be
Fangio is
gone.
going to solve all, you think?
Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio.
Look, I'm not as harsh a grader as you are, but there's not much I can disagree with you on. Okay. And when you look at it, it's The head coach is going to the final year of his contract, so he's going to play it out. So there's uncertainty there. All the changes that you're going to have defensively, because whenever you bring in a new defensive coordinator, philosophically you're going to change. As much as you may want to stay the same, you can't. Your two best players now are disenfranchised a little bit. They're unsatisfied. So you've got that component of it. You've already got all the negative energy from the embarrassing loss to Green Bay. You've got the expectations that you built with your fan base, where you tell them you're going all in. Yep. You lose so many key players. I don't know, as a head coach, how you say. What do you say when you stand up in front of the team in terms of, hey, this is why we're going to be better this year than we were last year? Now, you can get an influx of talent from the draft. You hope you can, but you can miss just as easily in the draft as you can hit. So what do you say if you're standing up in front of those guys in terms of, this is why we're going to win the division and this is why we're going to win the Super Bowl? It's a hard sell at any point. And
they've only got 3 draft picks in the top 150, or really 170.
Well, they got 174.
Okay, it's 3 in the top 173.
4 in the top 175.
That's not a lot, Coach.
Kevin wants to give him that D-.
Right.
I'm trying to be fair.
And Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, 1-year deal. I mean, think about that, 1-year deal. So I think all in meant, this is it. You guys have this year, and if not, we may be cleaning house completely.
And I like Mike Zimmer a lot, and I think he's going to do a good job. But from a personality standpoint, he's very, very different than what they were dealing with Dan. So those players are going to have to get used to that, too. Mike has a little bit more of an edge than Dan did. Not that Dan wasn't disciplined, but Mike has an edge.
Random prediction time. You didn't prep for this. At what point, what week in the season, will we say, what do you think about Bill Belichick to Dallas? If things are going swimmingly, I don't think we ever talk about it.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine that things are going to go swimmingly early on. And knowing the way that people treat the Cowboys, we could be